Well, good morning. Why do I feel like I'm missing something? I don't know what I'm missing. Am I missing anything? Oh, our book of the month. That's what I'm missing. Our book of the month is Spock. Yes, I was hoping to. Oh, it's around. Oh, it's over there. I'll get to it. Let us get organized. Yes, we have a book of the month. I'll wait until people get here before I start making announcements. I was thinking I could sing you guys a song. As people are filing into the brunch, I could sing like a song, but I was working on Mountains of Things by Tracy Chapman. Life I've always wanted, I guess I'll never have. I'll be working for somebody else. So if you guys want to hear it, maybe after everybody leaves later today. Uh, I used to sometimes start with a song, but people would run away. Like that was before my guitar playing was better. Now my guitar playing is better. Um, yeah. Excuse me. Working on a little Tracy Chapman. So please join us. Take a seat. Oh, it's my notebook for remote viewing. You see how silly I am? I knew I was missing something. Excuse me. Here. My announcements and the book of the month. Please take a seat. We have a very busy show today. I know all of you are excited. Excuse me. The cough will go away soon. There's a little bit of dust. My doctor actually told me to stop recording by the window because dust tends to accumulate here. But I really like the lighting. So, yeah, I do see some dust here. I wonder why dust accumulates at the corners of places. I wonder why that is. Cheers, everyone. So, lot is going on. Looks like Israel has withdrawn from South Gaza. For those of you who don't know, I wrote a Marshall Plan for Gaza and Israel after October 7th. Many of you know that I'm a naturopathic doctor, and I'm also an anthropologist. I'm a medical anthropologist. I've published as my thesis was my thesis is medical anthropology, my published works. So on eugenics, actually. And then prior to that, cult deprogramming. I studied cult deprogramming, cultural sensitivity, the difference between a cult where someone's coerced or forced to believe something for fear of death in some cases, like with Hamas. So I wrote a rebuild. I wrote a Marshall Plan. Netanyahu liked some of the ideas in the Marshall Plan, and some of them he did not. So he published his own Marshall Plan, which included some of what I wrote. But Benny Gantz is going to go further, I feel, with a Marshall Plan. So civilians are now going to back to communists, and so hopefully they can begin to implement some of the rebuild in communists. I'm hoping because these rehabilitation can happen anywhere. As you know, if Hamas isn't there, then rehabilitation can happen. So that's what's going on there, and all you can do is show people the data. I showed them my data. It was a meta-analysis. It took me 2 years to put the meta-analysis together. It was run through several computers. This is how you create a peaceful border with Israel, Gaza, Israel. And you make Hamas less attractive. So by offering something better, and it's a whole program. It would probably take 1 or 2 generations before you eventually get to the Canadian border, where there's just the majority of people are not thinking, you want an open, safe, nonviolent border. And how do we get from point A to point C? We do it through implementing programs like Oasis 1, and which is controlled. If 30% of the people of Gaza, after everything they've gone through, still would rather live would rather live under Israel than Hamas, 30%, then you start with 30% entering into this program and giving them all the resources they need. And you begin with that rebuild, but it looks like other countries are going to help. It looks like Bahrain and United Arab Emirates will help, and possibly Saudi Arabia as well. People had asked about people's rumors that Kushner was going to take beachfront property. I think it would be nearly impossible given international laws for that to happen. But what could happen is that a building could be set up or donated by, say, United Arab Emirates, and Kushner could request an office building there or something like that, which would be more realistic. So if a building or something were donated that housed dignitaries, et cetera, he might be able to get office space. But it's unlikely that that situation would happen given the current climate. And I don't think Israelis want that. People have to understand, I'm Israeli, by the way. Every time we go into Israel, we lose our family members. So most people don't want war. We don't want our people coming back in body bags. It's like saying Israel really wants Vietnam, because urban warfare like Vietnam and going down into tunnels, it's exactly like Vietnam. So how many Americans at the end of Vietnam wanted to stay in Vietnam, right? So after 50-something thousand body bags came back, right? So you have the same situation in Israel. Nobody's enthusiastic. Nobody's like, you have extreme right-wing cult members who always get the most attention that the rest of Israelis are frightened of. And the problem with Netanyahu is he fed the crazy. And that was my biggest problem. And the problem with most Israelis was that he doesn't represent us. It's like stealing electorates. He created a government by stealing electorates, by bringing a bunch of extremists together. And he's losing his coalition, though, because this is not how you diffuse. If 56% of Israeli Arabs, Palestinians with Israeli passports, don't have a problem with Israel, then clearly it works to integrate. And 56% is not good enough for me. I want a higher percentage of Israelis who are Palestinian Arab to feel like it's their country and not feel like, I don't want 44% of Israeli citizens who have Palestinian heritage to not feel like it's their country. I want integration, I want unity. Because unity is what's good for Israel, and unity is what's good for Klal Yisrael, and you're less likely to have your family members killed if you have unity. Because if we all have skin in the game, if we're all committed to this, if we all have a piece of the pie, then we're going to be more likely to protect the pie. And that's the other reason why integration works. If you give someone a kibbutz and you integrate it, and 50% is Palestinian, 50% is Israeli, and you say this is an experiment, you're on an island by yourselves, you'll either make it or not. This is an ancient idea of creating tribes throughout human history. You send them out into the desert, in this case an oasis, you give them some land and say, you have all collectively agreed to live together and create a society. Get to work. We will give you these resources. We will give you nonviolent education. We will give you seeds. We will give you water. We will give you food and education and housing. What happened? What has happened? What I see, and many Israelis see, is that people don't want unity and integration. Oh, the Jewish people won't survive integration. Of course we will. We survived 2,000 years of exile. You think we can't survive integration with friendly neighbors that don't want to kill us? Don't be ridiculous. And also, it's not from the Torah. Abraham, the first Jew, he bought the land, by the way. I mean, I know people don't want to, but there were people living there when he bought the land. He put them to work. They loved him. Some of them became Jewish, some didn't. And he hired them to secure the land, and he employed people. He became, by today's standards, a multi-billionaire by treating people right. And so he bought up Israel. Just people wanted to work for him because he made a lot of people rich. According to the Torah, he had so many people that loved his way of doing business because he gave people presents. They would come to visit Israel, and you would have to pass through security, and then there'd be another security point, which would be his tent. And if you wanted, and you could smell the delicious food because his wife was like a chef. Evidently his wife was this amazing cook, and she ran quite an operation. So she was handling this gourmet kitchen situation. So you're going down into the valley, and you're like, what the heck's going on in that massive tent down there? Well, that's the king. How do you get in there? All you have to do is respect his traditions, don't hurt anyone, and you're welcome to join the party. Well, we want to join that party because we can smell the damn food. Like, let's get down to that Bedouin party. They got the best food in the world. So people would put down, we agree to respect the laws of Abraham. So they would go into that tent, which had 4 doors. That's how inviting the guy was. The man was making serious money. Welcome to the tent of Abraham. Where are you coming from? Oh, you're coming from Persia. Wow, we have a lot of friends from Persia. Please have a seat. And then they would wine and dine you. And Sarah, she just loved to love people as much as her husband. They were quite a match. And he would spend the evening listening to you. Tell him about your life. Tell me about you. Oh, you don't want to know about me. I'm boring. I'm Abraham. I'd rather listen. I want to listen. Tell me who you are. Tell me about the people of Persia. Tell me about your religion. Gee, this is what you people are into. So I think the takeaway from the Torah is we know how to get to peace. And when people would leave the tent after having a great time of tolerance and good food and peace, he would send them away with gifts and information about the culture and say, spread these ideas of tolerance and unity and one God that really tolerates everyone. Just, we all got to come together. And so it was really the first religion of unity, wasn't it? And so what's wonderful is that the Muslims and the Jews and the Bedouin, everybody, they all have a common ancestor, which is Abraham Avinu, Abraham. And so they all come from the same tent. So if we implement Oasis 1, it's the first Oasis, which was Abraham. And so people are like, oh, of course, it was in front of us the whole time. We just have to go back to the general teachings of Islam, of Judaism, the core teaching, which is to be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. There you go. So what we're doing is we're reminding people who lost their way where we come from. We share a common ancestor, and he would be terribly disappointed in us if we behave this way and let the chicken and rice get cold. Come on now, right? This is not becoming of our ancestor. We are all children of Abraham. This is unbecoming of us. He'd be terribly disappointed, wouldn't he? Welcome all. I think we can go ahead and get started. Be sure and tell us who you are, where you're coming from, what you eating, what you drinking. We're talking about the fact that Israel has withdrawn from South Gaza and people are returning to Khan Yunis. Can they implement the Oasis One program, go back to the Torah, go back to the basic tenets of Islam, and treat each other like children of Hashem, children of God, Allah, right? I think we can do it. I think we can do it because it is an integral part of our humanity. What say you all? Yes, no? Let's discuss it. Hi, Delilah Gillis from Florida. Thanks for being here. Hi, Rhonda Shanks. Welcome, welcome. Delighted to see you here. Donna Andrews is in the house. C. Amiri, welcome. Thank you, everyone who's become a member of the channel. Understand that when you become a member of the channel, you help this channel stay open and positive and allows me to hire people like Chuck and keep improving the quality, taking college courses, which I'm doing right now. We very much appreciate the support. Also, you get free tarot readings once a week if you like with me on Saturdays. And if you're at the Elders and Empaths level, of course, you get to join Mystery School and get mystery training. Joel Tilson is in the house from Cheyenne, Wyoming. He's an amazing cook, and he is also the official floor director. Welcome, Joel. He's also an amazing genealogist, and he is a descendant of King Farouk of Jordan and also a nice Jewish boy. So see what happens when love finds a way. There you go. You get Joel Tilson. Hi, Sue Malik. Hi, A.W. Peterson. LC is in the house. Geocosmic Valentine, great to see you. Also a trained remote viewer with advanced certification and an amazing astrologer. Check out her channel. Yolanda Arenanda, welcome, welcome. Joel Tilson is going to be helping us today. He writes that Russia airfields have been attacked. And along with oil refineries, they're running out of gas. Understand also that the children in Russia are graduating in June, and from there they will be called up to report for duty. And so many are becoming more and more frantic, as the remotes had said they would be, as they get closer and closer to graduation. Things are becoming increasingly tense on high school and college campuses as more and more people become terrified of the impending future. So that is what it feels like to be on a high school campus, a college. You can feel the tension and the fear for your friends. And when you are tense and desperate, you do desperate things. Yes? Yes. And that is precisely what is happening. Okay, we're going to go ahead. We're going to do the Empath prayer, and then we will go ahead and get to everybody's blitzes after that. Is there anything else I have to announce? Yes, the book of the month is Spark. You cannot get it on Amazon. It is available at Barnes & Noble and at Thrift Books. The reason we chose this book, which was written by Gail Neinhaus, is because many of you have been repeatedly saying, I don't know what my calling in life is. I don't know what my spark is. I feel like I have no reason to live. All of those things exist because you have not connected to your core, to your spark. And so by connecting with your spark and by feeding it, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, and the will to live becomes stronger and stronger, and it becomes like an inferno. You want to feed that part of you that is you exist for a reason. You don't want to be reincarnated. You want to get to the next level. You don't want to freaking repeat this, rinse and repeat. I'm not coming back here, people. I mean, I'm not going to be born into that. Some people think that you have to repeat the same exact life. Think about that. Remember your childhood? Do you want to go through that scene all over again, or those scenes? Exactly. So you better get it right this time around. You do not want them to re-up the game, right? If this entire thing is a game. So she starts with your toolkit. Reminds me of this idea in HCRV where you have to have like a setup of tools. And check-ins, self-love, meditation, core work. Really nice. I love the way that she organized it. We'll have her here on the Tuesday at the end of the month. So that is what that is going on. If you are a writer If you are a writer and you're trying to get discovered and you have written a book and you would like us to feature your book here for our book club meets Tuesdays, Taco Tuesdays, 6 p.m. at the end of the month with Chuck Dransfield. We'd love to read your book on air, so please join us. Send your book to 1819 Southwest 5th Avenue, Suite 116, Portland, Oregon, 97201. Dr. Whimsy Anderson. My information is below this video if you didn't catch the address. All right, let's do the Empath prayer and let's get into it. Let's do a collective. Somebody burned Bernie Sanders. Well, probably a right-wing wingnut. I'd be very curious what the cards say for Trump because he's not doing very well. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen. All right, let's give you a reading. I'll use these ones because you guys like the Morgan Greer. Those are too shiny, you say. I was going to use the shiny ones, but yeah, student riots in Russia, very likely, Joel. Yeah. All right, so this is our week. This is our week, what we can expect for the energy for everybody, what the energy is going to be like for the coming week. Thank you for being here. Your reading for the week. Your judgment is very sound, but this is a time of think before you act. This is a time of observing, but it's also a time when people should not be acting. Iran is talking about they're going to retaliate. They're going to retaliate against Israel for bombing the Iranian embassy in Lebanon. So now Israel is escalating the tension by putting missiles in Eilat, right? So when you go into the energy, what you feel is that Iran are bullies, but they are cowards. They'd rather have somebody else go do it for them. They'd rather have Hezbollah. They'd rather have Hamas. They'll pay somebody to go beat up somebody for them. They don't want to go directly to war. So 2 of Pentacles is to be very careful with any major decisions right now, and judgment. Use your judgment. Don't go into any major investments right now. A lot of people are scared about April 8th, but the message from Spirit is that as Spirit is more concerned with how people behave than the actual phenomenon itself. It's more important for you to just sit back and observe it and observe how people behave. That's going to give you more wisdom than people running off half-cocked, screaming that it's the end of the world, potentially getting themselves or somebody else hurt. No, sit and observe. Your karma is to observe judgment and to be aware that things are very topsy-turvy right now, and you really don't want to be part of the crazy. You don't want to get swept up in crazy. Armistice is upon us with NATO winning. We've talked about the fact that the French Foreign Legions is probably going into Ukraine. And I don't personally think that Russia wants this situation. It would be very bad. It would be very, very bad for, I would be very bad. I see armistice. The first house is armistice. So this means that you've won. Whatever it is you want out of life, take it what you feel you need and stay away from people that are toxic to you. You have the crossing card of the Seven of Swords, which is to flee like a thief. What is above you? Ten of Swords, betrayal, to be stabbed in the back. 10 of Cups. Seek positive environments. Avoid people who have had a history of backstabbing. If someone has shown you who they are, you can forgive them and say, I'm over it, but that doesn't mean you have to hang out with them. Past placements of Tower and then 10 of Swords looming means that the lesson for the world right now is that people have shown us multiple times who they are. We have to believe them. Like crazy people voting for Trump, even though he has 91 federal counts. I mean, it's insane, right? But they still, he could change, right? Also, we're entering into the time of the Empress, which means abundance. The great irony is we're entering a time of wealth and potentially armistice. Strong business cards as well. As many companies flee China, they are returning back to the United States. It's interesting. There are business contracts where business is returning back to areas like Gary, Indiana, Detroit, because it's cheaper to do business right here in the United States than deal with the crazy and the poor quality that's coming out of China. And so what's happening is that industry is returning to the United States. It's actually cheaper in many ways, and we can guarantee the quality. And so that means more work in the United States. 305,000 jobs in March, absolutely insane. 100,000 more than expected. So this is the time of actually business and industry, and smoother waters lay ahead. The hopes and the fears that we will have to shore up our defenses. Seven of Wands is a defense card. The Queen of Cups, this is a time of dreaming and art. Queen of Cups is an emotional queen who dreams. We are clarified, we are strong. Our opposition, the green economy. So even the opposition is positive. It's this idea that it's like Tesla made themselves obsolete because everybody started producing electric cars. So you have to create the new exciting thing. So now Tesla wants to do flying cars and jetpacks, which I think is great. You have to aspire to something new because you'll achieve that goal and then everybody else will try and achieve it. And then you'll be like everybody else. So you have to the next rung. And that is the human condition. We always want to be evolving and co-creating something new. And so the main message from Spirit is do not react, observe, continue to dream, and continue to keep your own house in order. We're coming out of the energy of war, and we're entering into the time of armistice because basically the good side won. Okay, so when we get the order, we will blitz away. I guess we can change up now to the Lenormands. People had asked me about this is the romantic deck, the Lenormand. Check it out. It's the Renaissance deck is called. I don't know, but they've got a ton of different types of Lenormands. And yeah, Lenormand is good stuff. All right, looks like Joel Tilson has given me the blitz order, and it looks like a ton of questions are coming in, which I am excited about. First question coming in has to do with the student riots. Yes, as I had mentioned, people are desperate. People know they're going to die. Imagine knowing I'm going to be sent to the front and I'm going to die in June. What would you do? How you would take off in May. So we're going to see a lot of desertions. The great thing about being a remote viewer is that you are able to literally throw yourself into the classroom. Boom, you're there. And you're sitting in the classroom and you see the recruiters are there and everybody's checking and you have to get your physical. Yeah, you have to get your physical because your report all and to check that you did show up to class, like it's coming and your classmates are looking at you. Wow, because you're the seniors. What does it feel like? You feel desperate. You feel scared. You feel scared to even talk. What are you going to tell your classmates? Well, if I have to go, I have to go. That's all you can publicly say. Meanwhile, what's really going on? What's really in your backpack? Now you know what it's like to be a student at Russia, right? What would you do? Most of us would flee. Most of us would they're thinking very, very deep. It's a time of very deep thinking for the students. You know, this is like even psychological interviews. So you have the recruiters showing up in high school, and if your name is on the list, how do you feel about you're being called up in June? Oh, well, I'm not going to run away. Why are you talking about running away? I mean, like the freaking Russian government is there in the schools seeing who's going to be a problem before you even enlist. Are you excited about going? What is your, the deep well? I mean, a time of come to Jesus, as you could say. Like this is a really, the book is the book, the opposition. The book is the book. 18, honey, you're 18. There, you know, it's like that movie about everything where the bureaucrat only could see the numbers, and that's what made her crazy. It was played by Jamie Lee Curtis. It's the book. You got to go by the book. That's the book. That's the book says 18, 18. You're 18. That's the book. That's the book. You got to go. Yes, but I will die. That's the book. You got to go. Those are the numbers. 18, 18 is the number. I mean, it's the sun is coming out. And then the polar bear. It's not like it's the bear symbolizes Russia. The polar bear is the deep freeze. So they're not listening to the children. They're not listening to the opposition. They are saying things that don't even make sense. Well, we don't know if there's going to be another call up after this one. If it makes you feel, that's not going to help me. I still got called up. Well, we don't know if next season it'll be 150. We can't. That's not. It's like on autopilot. I didn't ask you if we were going to call up 150,000 more people next quarter. Those are the numbers. They are simply there to push the number. And so you have this freeze and complete confusion of the people. You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Vietnam. What are we fighting for? Hell, I don't give a damn. Next stop is Ukraine, right? Just in a maze. I see a lot of more desertions. These kids are desperate, and it's too late, and they waited too long. By the time that guy shows up on campus and has a list of senior graduates, it's already too late, honey, because he's going to call you in the office and he's going to figure out whether or not you plan on deserting. That's how bad it is. All right, Ben Gurion Canal to Gaza will bring treasures to the whole area. Well, if there's going to be a canal, you know that Elon Musk is going to want to build it, right? Let's see. He's going to want to create a boring underground. Let's see. A canal to Gaza. Let's see. Yes, a bouquet. Deep well, yes, absolutely. Hopes and fears. A safe zone garden. Final outcome, the keys to the cage has been opened, which is good news for Gaza because people felt caged. The keys of the cage have been opened. It's auspicious. It will go well for the people of Gaza. Yes. So it is good for the people of Gaza. It'll be another means of income for them. Yes, it is suicide for Iran. They will nuke Tehran, and Tehran knows that. So I laid in bed, and I imagined that I was the Ayatollah and the president. And I laid in bed, and I thought about the fact that this could be my last night alive, because if I do this thing, Israel will nuke and kill us all. So I sat there thinking about that, and I thought to myself, do I have the cojones as the Ayatollah, as the president of this country, to face my own death? And the answer was absolutely not. I am a coward. So in which case I ain't going to do nothing, man. But maybe you guys go do something. We'll give you $10 to go beat up my bully. And what is that? That's Hezbollah, right? So Hezbollah wants to go kill as many Jews as possible. They were born to die killing Jews, right? So that tells me, as an Israeli or as the remote viewer, that the threat is, first off, the source of the problem is Iran, because they're the one feeding the problem. The source is Iran. So if you remove Iran, you remove a lot of the problem, but the immediate threat is Hezbollah. I don't know if Hamas can survive, because even though people say Hamas is becoming increasingly popular, so much of their money's been closed off. It's unlikely that they'll survive. Qatar's in serious trouble too in terms of its future relationships, because a lot of people are angry at them. They feel they put gasoline on an inferno. They created much of the problem. Will the eclipse uncover Trump's secrets? Is there any secrets left that we don't know? I mean, I feel like we already know every horrible thing. What's left to know? You know, we pretty much know who Trump is, don't we? I mean, we will move on from the time of Trump. The problem is mask, which is what Joel had talked about, the unmasking. It really is this kind of fear of truth, isn't it? A rider card is to come into something positive. It's auspicious, the kingdom. So I would say that we are leaving the time of Trump. I know a lot of people think that Trump is growing in power, but Truth Central or Truth, whatever, his brand is tanking. It collapsed on the market. So I don't see it. Taking off. View the eclipse as an intellectual opportunity to observe how human beings, dogs and animals, respond to fascinating phenomenon. And also you could do some meditating and say, well, how do I do I feel any physical differences, or am I just picking up on people's weird reactions? Like, be the judge, be the observer, be in your 7th and 6th chakra. You know, the 3rd chakra and the 4th chakra are open to receive data. But if your 6th and 7th chakra is open and you are observing, then that means you don't have to respond to the data. You can simply report on it. I felt pain in my solar plexus that made me feel a wave of tremendous grief as I meditated on this target. That would be completely appropriate for a remote viewer to describe the emotions and sensations as I ingest or become one with this individual. We're trying to get data, and you are basically, you're 11 from Stranger Things. You've been trained to be a professional empath. And so you're not an emotional wreck, though sometimes I find it difficult to cut cords. Usually when I don't have all the answers, like with Catheryn of Wales, I couldn't understand why I couldn't cut cords with her. I felt like there was so much to that story. Um, it wasn't just about somebody's marriage ending or in a situation like that, it's really hard for me to break with a target because I'm so engrossed in what they have to say. I guess that's it. And if I feel like they're not done, and I felt like she wasn't done talking, now I feel like I got most of the story. But yeah, that's remote viewing for you. Okay, Diddy. Diddy's sons hire El Chapo's lawyer after trafficking raid interest. Okay, let's take a look. The future of Diddy. They're very scared. They're very, very scared. I just feel terrified. I just feel absolutely terrified. This came out of nowhere. I feel holding on to holding on to one's coin. Here comes the judge, the high priestess, a buried information, hopes and fears, ace of wands within the next 30 days, large sum of money. They are going to have to be pumping out they're going to have, he can negotiate guilty on a lesser sentence in cooperation to testify. God, I hate when I have to go to this. Guilty. They can get them off on the more serious charges if plead to lesser sentence in exchange for cooperation with an ongoing investigation because of the extent of evidence. They got the tapes. That's the remote. So what's happening? The terrified guy, 5 of swords, took the power away. So you're going to have to make a deal with the feds. So Diddy's sons, through the Chapo lawyer, will plead guilty to a lesser sentence. That's what they're being advised by the attorney, because the first thing the attorney is trying to figure out is just what are the charges, and just how much evidence do they have. So this lawyer is good. First off, we need to find out what you're being charged with. So defending something you haven't been charged with is a waste of our time. So let's figure out the parameters of the charges. This is what the attorney is saying. Get those documents in. And then the other thing is that he's saying is we only have to defend the charges. And the second thing he's going to do is see if he can't get them to discard. These are the only charges, right, that we have to defend. Are they going to tack on more charges? So he needs to talk to prosecution. Can we get some of them dropped? We reserve the right to add more charges as this investigation goes along. So we nip that in the bud right now? How about we save you some time and they plead to the lesser sentences that you already have them on? We knock off and then they turn state's evidence. That's because the amount of evidence they have against Diddy's sons is so great that they're going to have to take that deal. I know. It's like Ivanka all over again. The treasure trove that ever overflows. The Empress is the treasure trove that ever overflows. Ace of Pentacles. We don't even know if we have to make a deal with your clients, to be honest with you, with Diddy's sons, because the truth of the matter is we have a treasure trove of information against you. We also have money. They confiscated massive amounts of cash. I haven't been watching this. Maybe I should. Maybe it would. Is this answering unknown questions at this time? I don't know. Um, I'm really enjoying these questions, Joel. I really appreciate you. Major health event for Trump. I think it's possible because just as a doctor, I mean, we're talking, doctors are talking. I see drug use. That's the main thing I focus on. But I'm starting to also see the brain damage stuff that people are talking about. Let's see about his health. Trump's health. The problem is that deterioration, it's too quick. Like when you get to a certain age, deterioration happens exponentially, right? So you don't grow that much older from 20 to 21, 21 to 22, 30 to 31, 40 to 41, you start to feel it, 50 to 51, 60 to 61. What's happening is that the aging process is escalating. And so what they're saying in the remote is that it's simply a process of escalating aging. So the chariot is about a forward movement, like it's a forward movement. The other thing you get with this is a card that can be a wealth, but it's also been doubled as a hoarding card, right? And just grief, losing. He has lost some stuff. He can still win the election, by the way. And the way he can win the election is by working with RFK's team to split the Democratic vote in purple states. So if a lot of people voted for RFK in Michigan, if they focused on Michigan, Pennsylvania, Florida, with the RFK campaign, then that could cut into the votes for Biden. But he is going to be taken out by his own. He will be sabotaged by his family, and he's suffering because he lost family members. Yeah. Okay. Diddy's son was filmed on video assaulting a victim. He won't escape that evidence no matter what his lawyers say. Yeah, so he's going to a domestic violence, or, they're trying to get him on a lesser sentence and getting him to talk. So China loses U.S. labor. Let's talk about it. You're not surprised. Are you surprised? No, because you watch this channel. When did we talk about the inevitable collapse of China? 3 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? Anybody remember? I'm going to grab some of my coffee while we open up the conversation to China. Do you guys want to talk about it? What do you foresee as remote viewers? Many of you are remote viewers and psychics. What do you foresee for the future of China? Do you think we're looking at it collapsing into multiple principalities with minimal control by a central government or no central government? Can China maintain this type of forward growth? You can imagine the type of money you need to expand your operation the way China has been expanding in Africa, trade routes. This takes a tremendous amount of money. Can they keep this going if their economy is imploding and if their business relationships are collapsing? I don't know. Too much red tape. It's cheaper to come back and take Biden's incentive program where we get all this free stuff, free land, free everything in Gary, Indiana, and put the locals back. It's cheaper for us to do that than deal with all this Chinese crap. I'd rather be in Gary, Indiana. Put the money back into creating. There used to be some nice areas, Yes, really, believe it or not. I know people that used to live there. So invest in these areas is cheaper in the long run than all the crap that goes with taking everything overseas. That's what they're saying. Let's take a look. Well, people just remember extended community, people that grew up in Gary, that you had 40 relatives. Everybody knew it, you don't have that necessarily, that kind of community support. Let's take a look. Strength is with the US, not with China. The building is happening in the US. All the money is being centralized in the US. New buildings industry for Americans in the US. The American economy is extremely strong, and I see massive building infrastructure decades from now. Hoarding, right? We kept our money in, so Biden is keeping it local. Why does everybody think that Trump's going to do that? Trump didn't do that. Everything went to China. It's Biden that's doing it. Economy is strong. China's gone to the moon. They've got to come to terms with the fact this is not working. Look at America. That's building. These houses that Biden is talking about, these and do you hear about the office building spaces? They are going to be building in New York and other major cities. The Army Corps of Engineers, they're turning apartments and food from. He's incredible. I don't understand why people don't get who buy. He's that guy. Oh my God, he saved me $350,000. Awesome. Okay. I just see. Look. Movement, Knight of Wands. Look at this, incarceration. A lot of people go into jail. China is arresting. They're looking for people to blame for this current situation. Hopes and fears, a new beginning in China. Look at this, the King of Swords. I don't like this for China because this means they're going to become more militant as they go along. Like their response to America's like, yay, we're putting money back in Indiana. We're putting money back in, Ohio. This is great. Yeah, like America's coming back. We feel great about this new beginning. Look at this industry. Here's China. Police, arrest. This can be a war. It looks like China responds by arresting people, which makes sense if banks are lying, if this corruption is happening, and if you think that it is responsible for collapsing your country. That's precisely what you would do. You would begin doing you would begin doing that. Look at that. Look at this too. They honestly don't know what to do. Look at their opposition, man. This is the U.S. Strength, keeping money at home, a new beginning for America. Look at this industry and building. Man, this is why we got to elect Biden. He's just getting started, man. I know. Brand new industry for America. All those companies, all that money we lost that's coming back to the U.S. Isn't that fantastic? And and you have to pay your taxes. I know. So poor Elon Musk, he wants to take even more control of Tesla because they're losing money. So They've made themselves obsolete. How are we doing on time? We got some time. All right, Elon. Some people think he should sell Twitter. Okay, Elon, what's he going to do? He has to make a decision. I told him he should hire me as his naturopath because he lives on bacon cheeseburgers. He knows I'll take the bacon cheeseburgers away, so yeah. All right, he has to make a decision. The opposition, a new beginning. He is being strangled by conservatives inside of these companies that are afraid of moving forward, and other companies are more innovative than we are. That's me as Elon. You're trapped in this freaking old model that's now outdated with Tesla. We have made ourselves obsolete, and our opposition is flying over. They got flying cars, they got flying people, they got jetpacks, they got this. You folks are too conservative. We got to create the new great thing. So his judgment. What's his problem with his competitor? New projects. What are you building over there? What's this Four of Wands? They're building something new. We have got to get beyond the damn Tesla. I hear him. It's going to be our coffin. It's like the Model T, hopes and fears. They're fighting amongst themselves. I mean, whether you like his personality or not, he's a genius in business. So 3 of Wands, he will take control of it. 3 of Wands, also importing and exporting. One thing I will say about Elon Musk, he hates war. War is the death of his business. War cost him money. He's not compromised in a traditional sense, according to Fiona Hill. He's compromised because his vision and he's so obsessed with getting to Mars, he would sell his soul. And that is a type of being compromised. He does not want war. He'll do anything to avoid war. He will dance cheek to cheek with Putin if Putin tells him he's going to give him cosmonauts and all that Russian research for free if he can work out a deal with the US and we can all go to Mars. You understand? That's an obsession that makes him a compromise. So judgment. He has to be sane right now. He hates war because I can't get this. Why are you so opposed to the sanctions in Russia? Because I can't get my steel. It's the bet. Steel is not steel. I've heard him interview. Steel is not steel, particularly when you're trying to create fibers. It's not the same, right? So always thinking from the perspective of my business, getting to Mars, getting the best steel that can take the highest temperature point so that my rockets don't blow up. That's being an empath. Get out of your head, you get into their head. What does he want? He wants to get to Mars. Why does he hate war? Because I need to get my steel. Where's the steel coming from? Russia. The metals are coming from Russia, the purity. We got to stop this war, right? I need my trade, right? Trade routes, always the same. So what's his fear? The opposition is building something new. They're fighting. We got to keep up with the times. 3 of Wands, he will prove his point. His ships come in, right? War is terrible for him because he needs his ships to keep. I need trade. What's with this sanction? What's with this? No, I'm not. There are good things in China. There are good things, right? We're all getting along here. Can you sacrifice your business for something better than yourself? And this person can't, because it is a type of amorality. You could argue, Fiona Hill would argue, that it's a type of amorality. It's a type of amorality because he is theoretically willing to do anything in order to have this personal goal met, and that is what makes him compromised. That's also thinking like a member of the Justice Department. It's thinking like somebody who works for the feds. What makes this person vulnerable to be compromised? Clearly, it's not money. He has all the money. So if he has all the money, what is it? We have to find that thing that is that makes him compromised. And this is what makes him compromise. It's the nature of how the businesses are set up, and it's the direction he wants to take his businesses in. Will forever make him beholden to those countries for his personal needs. See where I'm going? So he has grief over Five of Cups, over it. And then his opposition is King of Swords, swords, the steel again. So they're doing things, and he's been canceled out of it. I can't get in. I can't get into the good stuff. I can't get into the research. It could be also that he's being cut out of research that's coming out of Russia. He can't work with Russian cosmonauts. He can't do space research with China, and it drives him crazy. And he's never going to get to Mars because we're going to have to do it all from scratch with no help from them, and that's going to add years to our research. It's my job. I don't judge the people I remote. I just try to be them to the best of my ability. So his hopes and his fears that these guys, I'm never going to get that the steel man. They're doing all this cool stuff. Karma. No, relax. What you should be working on, Mr. Musk. You will find a way to do it. You will find a way to get the best steel that won't blow up your rockets. And you should be focusing on cleaning up your diet. If you really want to get to Mars and you're afraid you're going to die, then you should get disciplined regarding how you eat. That's my own personal feedback that I would give Mr. Musk about. I know he wants to get to Mars, and I want him to get to Mars. I just think that you have to do it in a way that's ethical. Well, he complained about the American-made steel, that it's about temperature. It's the temperature problems, that if you get up to like 1,000 degrees. And so the problem he keeps having is that the steel he needs is coming from Russia. And they keep blowing up rocket. I mean, it's very obvious what's happening. I mean, Fiona Hill is a genius. She just cuts right to the chase. His entire business operation is dependent on these countries. And so he can't get anywhere. And so he keeps having these problems. And then he keeps talking about how great Putin is. I mean, he's like a child. He and Trump are both like children. They think in terms of, well, I want to get my rocket to go boom, boom. Well, this guy can make it, my rocket get to, come on, folks. We're talking about a war and some little kid. The other thing is that, he reminds me of Prince William in the sense that Elon Musk and Prince William both had massive head injuries when they were kids. I mean, Elon Musk got so badly beaten, he was in the hospital for 4 days. So I think there's real evidence that Elon Musk has a serious head injury, and it's impacted his impulse control. And just the idea of a grown man in his 50s willing to put the entire world in jeopardy because he wants to take a rocket ship. Look, I would look at that head injury when he was a kid, and I would do something about it. Yes. I told him, not that he reads anything. I told him on Twitter in front of 15,000 other people. Thank you very much. It's not like I have a relationship with this person, but I always post when I hear him say crazy things. I'm your naturopath. You need to hire me. I can fix all of this. Yes. Truce for Gaza, eventually, yes. But people have to understand that Hamas does not want a truce. And so Israel has to rebuild regardless of what Hamas does. And that's kind of where they're at. And I think that's one of the reasons we withdrew from. I do have some power over, not much, but I do have a little power. But I sent the Knesset letter pleading, can we do it now? Can we do, we don't have to completely destroy Hamas in order to start Oasis 1. We could start it anywhere. I said that like a couple days ago. And then I wrote the war cabinet again yesterday and said again, I really just want to implore you that, and I accidentally wrote impose. Mr. Netanyahu and the War Cabinet and Knesset. I wrote all of them and the letter and said, can we please do it now? Please. And so I think a lot of people were kind of, so I'd like to think I played a little bit of a part in a small, tiny little voice. All of us, right? We all want peace. Maybe not for the same reasons that Elon Musk does, but I think it's great. Let's get to Mars, but we don't want to sell our souls to get there. I agree with him that we do need to look at colonizing other planets, and we cannot rely on the planet, because if an asteroid hits, we're all finished. All right, so we're just about done. So we're going to do our royals stuff. So the message from Spirit that I got regarding Prince William and Princess, his wife, I guess they call her Princess Catheryn. We don't really acknowledge royalty in the U.S., but what they call. Like I said, we broke up. I asked Catheryn how I felt in her skin. I felt we really broke up about 2.5 years ago. And I felt like he had moved out 9 months ago. It was getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. But he just basically checked out. I felt like my husband had checked out of the marriage. So he just kind of took off. Half the time, I don't know where he is. Now it's coming out that Catheryn wants a divorce and she doesn't want to see him. That's pretty much what I got, that I wanted a divorce. Maybe I felt neglected. It's possible. We asked permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. So people are like, well, you didn't see the cancer. First off, I do not want to see someone's private medical records if they're not ready to announce them publicly. But it just felt to me like I got sick and my husband checked out. Yeah. So, but now I feel like I'm over it. I feel like I'm over the marriage. I'm over the relationship. It would be great if he could come and help me raise, help out a little bit. But I don't feel like I'm devastated over the loss of my marriage. I think I might feel it if it became public information, because it's probably going to be shocking to the general public. But I personally, it's been 2.5 years of processing it. And no, he doesn't live with me. He hasn't lived with, I don't know where he is half the time. He stays with his friends, or he stays at an apartment in London. I don't know. It's his business. It's more about getting him on the phone and the fact that he doesn't respect me enough to even answer my text. And that pisses me off, because, when you're coordinating raising kids, he'd rather hang out at the pub with his friends. It's like he's reliving his college days. He's going through like a midlife crisis. Yeah. In terms of how I feel, like how I can make money, really, I'd like to be a professional portrait artist. I'd like to be a professional photographer. And I think I can get some really great assignments as a professional photographer. And maybe even contracts for major companies like Lancome or other major businesses could hire me as their photographer. And I think that that's a legitimate business model for me. I want to be a professional, independent artist. Mm-hmm. As Catheryn. In terms of who's closest to who, it's hardest on Charlotte, because Charlotte is closest to William. They're very close. Like, that's his favorite is actually Charlotte. And Charlotte is the one having. And the closest to Catheryn is Louis. Louis is the most like his mother. He is also an artist. he will go on to become likely a very famous portrait artist himself. And I would not be surprised if Louis went on to become like the official royal portrait artist for the family. Like he could become the next Rembrandt. That is how talented Louis is. I look at that kid Louis and I say, that's Rembrandt. That kid is Rembrandt. Louis is always observing. He's always observing the crazy, and then he's, yeah, he's special. Because we're not, it depends. I think if you're asking about the Oasis One program, it's not our country. I mean, like if we're not controlling the West Bank, we could give them the idea and they could start implementing it themselves. But we can only implement it under Israeli authority. So it would be areas of Israeli authority. I mean, if we have areas of the West Bank where we have authority. But we can also give it to Palestinian Authority and see if they want to do their own version. Because eventually the people have to unite. Palestinians, Israelis integrate, which is what they've both been fighting. And that's how you get to peace. And we can keep fighting the inevitable, or we can accept the fact that integration is going to happen. We can't continue to live as separate peoples. That is not how anthropology works. I've spent years studying anthropology. We must integrate and become a united community. We must find a way to make it work. I think Oasis One is the fastest way, but that's my opinion. All right. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It was a lot of fun, as usual. If you're trying to see me as a doctor, I see people as a naturopathic doctor through telemedicine coaching. I'm quite affordable, I promise. And then I send you a link through our Doxy portal. Your medicine, your herbal medicines are included, by the way, if you go to see me. Also, if you need to see me as a tarot reader, also I'm available via phone. All that information is below. Anything else I need to say? I think I said it all. Be kind to all so that all can be kind to you too. Check out also our Facebook fan pages. Thank you, Debbie Brady, creative director, for all her wonderful art and creative suggestions. All right, we'll see you next time, everyone. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless, much love, and peace out.